Look, I've met Gwen many times. She's a very sweet lady. We always have a nice conversation whenever we see each other. Jen has had the pleasure of meeting her father, I think, on multiple occasions.
A very different universe, but yes.
Yes.
But so, what does this mean? What this means is why do we care?
The reason why
matter?
this is big is because there was talk that Gwen was potentially going to run for governor again against Ron DeSantis. Or potentially run for the U.S. Senate against Marco Rubio. That obviously is not happening now.
So you're basically presuming that if she takes that appointment, then that's taking those things off the table.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's the safe bet. And the truth of the matter is, not everybody, as much as people want to be in elected office and they want to be in Congress and all that good stuff, a lot of people don't want to go through the grind of having to, work the state and get the votes and stuff like that. So it's not that simple. And the idea that you're going to do it multiple times, it's one thing to run multiple times for Congress, but to run multiple times for statewide office in Florida, that's a pretty daunting task. So I certainly understand why people are waiting. And
I just don't know that taking an appointment necessarily precludes her from doing that.
I don't see why taking that appointment and then turning around and announcing that, by the way, I'm running for governor in the next 2 months.
I don't know. I don't rule anything out anymore. But I see your point. Your point is, so this looks
like
that
she may just be doing it for the title, so to speak.
I don't know why anybody does anything. I just don't think that her accepting one thing precludes her from doing something else. I think we've seen enough things that
I'm not trying to speak ill of the ladies.
No, that's not what I mean.
Whatever they want to do is perfectly fine.
That's not what I'm talking about. I just mean in general, I don't know, but I see what you're saying. So in other words, we're saying strategically, this is less likely looking like she's interested in a statewide seat right now.
Yes, and I agree. And Cheyenne, we are going to get to that, but that's obviously going to be the last one. We're going to talk about DeSantis and the bill last. I think it's also important.
Wait, you want to talk about that last? We can. I could talk about the police reform situation.
I think you absolutely should.
Because this is really interesting. So I noticed the other day that in the very same day, there were these two different stories. One is police reform bills face ticking clock as Florida legislative session comes to an end. But then simultaneously, there's this article about the Florida House plan on police standards moves forward. So, of course, I have to dig into this and figure out, how is it we're not really handling police reform if this thing on police standards is moving forward?
Of course.
And now I know why. I have the answer.
What is the big giveaway?
So this is it's not a giveaway. It's just not anything. So the reform bills that have basically been introduced this year have been many.
Right.
Chevron introduced ending qualified immunity.
State Senator
Chevron Jones.
Sorry, she's and Jenner on a first name basis.
But so anyway, so everything from ending qualified immunity, which we've talked about.
Sorry.
To things requiring the usage of body cameras, like all of these different. There were so many following George Floyd last year. So many bills introduced, and none of them that would have any meaning whatsoever have passed. Now, what I would like to say about the one that is going through, because it's just, you can all decide for yourselves what you think about it. But what I did do is I did a screenshot because I want to read what is it Senator Geller? Is he a state senator?
No, he's a state House representative.
State House representative.
District
okay, so this is Joe Geller's response to what I will explain to you. So this is a compromise, and it's not one step forward. This is a number of steps forward, Geller said. It's been the product, I understand, of long discussion and long debate. I want to compliment those on both sides for doing the job we're sent up here to do, which is legislate, to come up with something, to advance solutions, to try to reach agreement where we can. So let's go into this with that in mind. So I made a few notes of what the new legislation actually is. This is what they're calling, this is an
educational forum right now.
Yeah, this is interesting. So this is what Geller thinks is a compromise that is several steps forward. This is the big to-do that we're getting as far as police reform in Florida. So wait for it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So for employment, officers must disclose pending investigations, and they must disclose if there was a reason or a pending investigation as to why they left previous employments. The employing agencies, meaning law enforcement agencies, must do thorough background checks. Agencies must maintain employee records for up to 5 years. This new legislation establishes standards for the instruction of officers regarding the use of force. It does instruction regarding proportional use of force. Chokeholds are only to be used if officer perceives immediate threat of bodily injury or death.
Oh boy, that is a wide berth.
Requires officers to intervene when another officer uses excessive force. And it gives officers a duty to render medical aid following the use of force. It requires use of force investigations be done by an independent review. Okay, so every single one of those things, which Joe Geller refers to as some sort of steps forward compromise, are things that not only should have already been in place for the past 20 years, but I think are in most other states. Not one of those things is what anybody I would ever talk to would consider any form of progress. Are you telling me so that up until recently, there hasn't been a law in Florida requiring officers to intervene when another officer is using excessive force? That actually needs to be written? That has to be put in a rule? This is what they're legislating, people. Oh, and by the way, and here's the bonus. This is for exciting. It adds the Kaya Roll Act. And the Kaya Roll, if you all remember, was the little girl, I think she was 5 or 6 years old, that got arrested and taken in handcuffs and put in the back of a squad car.
Yes.
You remember this?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so, Florida, now...
Because we can't possibly get it right.
No, we couldn't just use common sense. So this now has to be legislated here. No child younger than 7 can be arrested.
No child younger than 7?
Yes.
7.
Not 7 or...
Not 17.
No, not 7 and younger. Younger than 7. So 7-year-olds, be on the watch. You're all still fair game for handcuffs. But yay, our House of Representatives here in Florida is so proud of their compromise.
Jen, could you stop being violent, please?
I'm so violent. So the fact that now we're finally legislating that chokeholds can only be used if they perceive an immediate threat. What was the rule before? What was the rule before? Just do it for fun? I wrote down every single section of that legislation that they're saying is steps forward. And I, for the life of me, cannot see anything that resembles a step forward.
There is not going to be any step forward. And obviously...
Shame on you, Joe Geller, that this is steps forward for you.
And we cannot ignore the fact that this is all this is a one sweeping legislative response to the fact that there are a lot of people getting very restless in this country right now. And so that, of course, is...
Because it's very frustrating that this is being touted as some sort of help in terms of police reform by finally putting in standards that the rest of the, developed world have had in place for the past century. I don't see anything on here that the fact that you would need to put in writing, we're not to arrest children younger than 7 is absurd. And this is what our legislators are doing in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta tell you,
just a very good use of our tax dollars. Let me tell you. But like I said, this is a good segue
into the piece de resistance.
Well, look, I think everybody knew that this anti-protest bill was going to pass. It was sort of a futile attempt to try to stop it, because when the GOP sets their sights on something that is really to stick it to the other side,
they have the numbers. And they're going to do whatever they want.
And they have no qualms about it. There is no need for. It's amazing how there's so many of the old moderate Democrats who are only looking for bipartisanship at every turn, whereas the GOP is like, when I want something, I don't care if we get a single Democrat on our side. We will absolutely make this a partisan divide all the way if we have to, as long as we get what we're going for.
This bill is problematic.
Extremely. And all I could think of, in the fact that you're the lawyer here, I'm thinking, how many circumstances are we looking at now?
Okay,
where there's going to be these lawsuits about unconstitutionality in regards to what they're trying to do. This whole fine line between what's peaceful assembly and what isn't. It's like
they have. It's like a subjective discretion whether something constitutes a protest or a riot.
Right.
And the way I've been seeing law enforcement so trigger happy lately, I just don't think anybody should be having that discretion. I don't think that should be up to them.
Nope.
When you can't pick your taser from your gun, maybe you can't really determine riot from protest. Just saying.
Correct.
But in any event, this legislation, which is just, it's pathetic that we're wasting our time with this because it's unconstitutional. It will be found unconstitutional. It's just a matter of how long we have to wait, how much time has to go through the court system, and what has to get done. But yeah, this is unconstitutional. So I feel like I could have like a rating scale on levels of constitutionality, and I could like grade certain things. But we won't be able to come back maybe like 5 years down the road when it gets found unconstitutional and be like, yeah, that's a violation of our rights.
No, there's a lot of, and again, the violation of our rights happen left and right, and it's always somewhat of a slow drip, and everyone just seems to not recognize it or doesn't seem to really care. But again, they always say it's the GOP supporters who are often the last to the party because until it affects them directly, they're not as concerned. The truth of the matter is you got a lot of moderate Democrats that are the same way. They don't really care until it's actually at their doorstep and actually affecting them. But the truth of the matter is you have a right to peacefully assemble. Do I think that this is being put in place because they know that things are going to continue to get out of hand? Yeah, because guess what? All of these mass shootings that have been happening lately, a lot of it has to do with the desperation that is happening in this country.
Well, when you're talking about which shootings, you talking about police shootings?
I'm talking
or
about
incel white men that are just that need something.
I think it goes both ways. I think there are people who absolutely are at their wits' end. They don't care anymore. And there's people who just want to take as many people, like the guy in Colorado. They just want to take as many people out with them as they possibly can. How about the guy who shot up the six Indian group? I mean, it's just absolutely amazing.
What do you mean, the Sikhs?
Sikhs. I said six.
For the love
I'm terrible.
They're Sikhs.
Sikhs.
And
yes.
I recognize that. Well, that's also more of a hate crime situation.
Yes, it is. But again, when you are desperate, it is very easy to revert to that whole, well, this so and so.
Well, we love to other. We have to other.
They are the reason why we can't get a break.
It's because of the poor brown people that are trying to escape the wars we've started in their countries. That's the lie. They are the cause of your sad lot in life. It's the poor brown people that are just trying to get from point A to point B alive. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, we're really not big fans of kicking down or punching sideways here. So it's just not our bag. But so anyway, what do you want to say anything else about that?
Well,
because to me, I just don't see how it's going to last for any. I mean,
I just think
it's not going to last long, people.
As much as this bill has passed, I do think it's going to get mired in a lot of court proceedings that people are not going to want to have to deal with. The loss. I mean, there's going to be attorneys that are going to be itching to get their name in lights by challenging this bill in court when somebody claims to have had a violation. There are so many clauses that were written into this bill that were unbelievable when you think about it. The type of clauses that are written into the bill to basically make you think, oh my God, they're really trying to trample the Constitution.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. I mean, I really, I know it's hard to not get distracted by this, but the reality is this is not going to last.
I don't think it will.
Well, or it does, and we've truly crossed over into like a fascist regime where they've bought enough judges on the bench where they just can instill the same level of fascism that we're getting from the legislative branch. I mean, and in my, anti-utopia, post-apocalyptic universe, that could be happening. But assuming that there's any judicial, impartiality that exists or any sort of jurisprudence with intelligence, this is not constitutional. That's my thought.
What was even more interesting is you had I don't remember what county the sheriff was on making the statement today. It's this gentleman right here that was making the statement with Governor DeSantis and basically was telling people, if you're going to register to vote, don't vote like the fools up north, like implying like, hey, vote Republican, not Democrat. I was thinking, you're a sheriff. You are technically supposed to be a nonpartisan representative.
Yeah.
Does that even exist anymore?
No.
Like,
not here, not in Florida.
Well, not in Florida, no. Florida,
in Florida, and we are focusing on Florida.
We are focusing on Florida, and Florida, unfortunately, has a wonderful reputation of almost getting everything wrong.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.